Mike Trout. Mike Trout remains one of the best hitters in the game, but best doesn't mean unbreakable. In 2025, some declines that once seemed minor are becoming more noticeable. And in a league that demands precision, even edges matter. Trout's batting average this season is down around .230 to .235, well below his peak years, and his OPS has slipped. He still generates power. Exit velocity and hard hit percentages remain strong, but they show modest decline versus Trout's historical norms. Julio StatCast data confirms his barrel rate, while still above MLB average, has backed off slightly from his best seasons. That said, there's no strong public evidence yet that pitch-type splits, e.g. breaking balls down in the zone, are a dominant vulnerability, though anecdotal observations suggest he may be less patient in certain counts. On the injury side, Trout's left knee has been a recurring concern. He suffered a bone bruise on the same knee that had meniscus surgery in 2024, which sent him to the injured list. The Angels have limited his defensive demands, moving him from center to right field, often giving him days off or using him as DH to protect him. He's acknowledged knee soreness, especially during lateral movement, running at full speed, or stopping suddenly. That has likely reduced his ability to take extra bases or be aggressive on the base paths. Steals this season are very rare for him, and his speed on defensive plays is less explosive than in prior years. Defensively, he has fewer plays chasing down deep balls or cutting off hits near the wall, especially when he has to accelerate or reverse direction. Trout remains very good, but reaction time and recovery on certain difficult plays seem to suffer slightly, which is predictable given age and injury history. He isn't degraded, but he's no longer springing from the bat with the same burst on both offense and defense. Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani remains one of baseball's rare two-way talents, combining elite hitting with the ability to return to the mound after serious surgery. In 2025, though, his weaknesses are less glaringly physical and more about wear, opportunity cost, and the fine margins that define greatness. First, recovery and workload. Ohtani underwent revision elbow surgery in 2023, and while his return has been impressive, endurance still lags his peak. His control early in starts can wobble, and there's the constant risk of cumulative fatigue. He doesn't throw as many innings as a full-time starter, so every outing carries weight. And any physical discomfort has outsized consequence for both pitching and hitting. At the plate, Ohtani's eye and power are still among the best in the game. He's hitting .279 with 48 home runs so far, and his walk rate, roughly 15.2%, has climbed to career highs. This shows pitchers respect his discipline, but it also means more deep counts, more at-bats where mistakes are costly. When he falls behind or when pitchers mix in high fastballs up in the zone, Ohtani has less margin for error. Command issues some nights mean those elevated pitches can hurt. His average exit velocity remains excellent, but his launch angle sweet spot is slightly down from prior seasons, indicating his power isn't always as cleanly reproduced. Soft contact and weak fly balls show up more when his timing is off, something that early season rust or adjustment to his repaired elbow might cause. Defensively and on the bases, Ohtani's role shifts enhance value but increase risk. He isn't expected to cover center field or sprint aggressively in late innings after pitching. Managing rest, recovery, and avoiding overuse are constant juggling acts. That can lead to fewer stolen base attempts and less base-running aggression, areas where he used to provide athletic margin. Perhaps most importantly, expectations and usage strain adaptability. Every change in mechanics, every tweak in his swing or pitch usage matters. Veterans making adjustments tend to respond more slowly when injuries or velocity fluctuation hit. Ohtani has already posted several starts where velocity peaks later than usual, or fastballs that would once dominate are hit more readily. He's still making walks and getting loud contact, but the margin between dominant and just really good has narrowed. Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is a physical marvel whose 2025 season has reinforced why he's among the most feared hitters in the game. But he isn't without limits. His power and contact metrics remain outstanding. Barrels per plate appearance are among the league's best, and his exit velocity is consistently elite. Yet, there are subtler weaknesses that show when you dig into the numbers. Judge has become slightly more vulnerable in two-strike counts, where his chase rate outside the zone rises and weak contact outcomes increase. He crushes fastballs, especially those in the 95 mile per hour and below range, but shows more struggle when forced into deeper counts against off-speed pitches. His run of slugging against softer and moderate speed offerings is excellent, yet pitches with late movement or breaking off speed out of the sweet spot produce more foul or poorly squared contact. There's no public split showing a dramatic cold season drop, but month-to-month variance indicates he performs slightly less efficiently at certain junctures, perhaps tied to swing fatigue or fewer recovery days. Defensively, Judge remains strong in right field, particularly at tracking balls and covering distance that many others can't. But endurance matters. Sprint speed isn't what it used to be, making long charges or aggressive plays more taxing. Base running isn't a standout part of his game. Steals are rare and extra base attempts are fewer than for younger, more speed-oriented players. For a hitter whose power is his defining trait, the result is a somewhat predictable profile. Pitch selection matters, mistakes are punished, and adaptability, especially in late innings or long series, becomes the difference between dominance and being just really, really good. Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is still among MVP contenders, but his 2025 profile reveals subtle yet meaningful declines. His power metrics have cooled. Barrel percent has fallen to about 5.6, down from approximately 6.0 in 2024 and approximately 12 plus in 2023. And his hard hit percent and average exit velocity also lag his recent best seasons. He isn't driving the ball as loudly or as consistently. He fractured his left hand in mid-2024 after being hit by a pitch and has admitted that timing and comfort at the plate haven't felt quite normal since. His plate discipline shows small cracks. He seems less reliable handling pitches on the edges of the strike zone and has registered more swing and misses overall than during his healthiest stretches. On the base paths, while his speed remains respectable, there are fewer aggressive extra base or stolen base attempts compared to earlier peaks, particularly in tighter games. Defensively, the positional versatility that once added value now comes with challenges. Moving between infield and outfield spots demands sharper reaction time and angle recognition. Despite all this, Betts remains an elite hitter. These subtle declines in loud contact, zone patience, and defensive stability matter most in close games, where small margins define outcomes. Fernando Tatis Jr. Fernando Tatis Jr. remains one of the brightest offensive forces in Major League Baseball, but even his electric skill set shows signs of strain in 2025. One of his more tangible weaknesses is durability. While the serious injuries, like the quad femoral stress reaction, came in 2024, lingering effects, limited rest, occasional hand-forearm contusions, have increased concern over how sustainable his physical performance is over a full season. For example, in May he suffered a forearm contusion after being hit by a pitch. He missed some time, though X-rays were negative. On the plate, one of his greatest improvements in 2025 has been in plate discipline. His strikeout rate has dropped relative to 2024, his walk rate is up, and his overall swing decision metrics show better judgment. Yet this creates another kind of risk. Deep counts, more pitches seen, which means more exposure. And in tightly matched games, pitch sequencing mistakes become more costly. Offensive production still bursts in the heart of the zone, where Tatis is among the leaders in expected slugging and run value. But power consistency and loud contact outside ideal zones are more variable. When pitches are on the edges, off speed or breaking balls away, outcomes tend to be more mixed than in his peak years. According to StatCast, his exit velocity and hard hit metrics remain strong, but barrel rates are not quite at his peak levels. Speed is still a plus. His sprint speed percentile, stolen base totals, and base running opportunities have improved compared to recent injury-ridden years. But full athleticism is hard to maintain. When he's had minor injuries or fatigue, his leg actions and recovery after swings show small but noticeable sluggishness in some stretches. Defensive metrics remain high when healthy, but shifts and defensive demands in large outfields or during long games could expose smaller reaction time lapses. Tatis's improved discipline gives hope, but these small cracks, variability outside of ideal contact zones, physical wear across the season, occasional injury interruptions, are exactly what opponents will try to exploit. Christian Yelich. Christian Yelich enters 2025 still showing flashes of star power, but his season highlights subtle shifts that are weighing on his consistency. His batting average is respectable, approximately .267, and power output remains meaningful with 28 home runs. Yet his batted ball profile reveals some regression. He's running a significantly higher ground ball rate, over 57% this season, which tends to neutralize his power when balls don't leave the infield. Despite that, his barrel percent and hard hit percent remain above league average, helping him sustain production. Yelich also dealt with a hand contusion in early June after being hit by a pitch, which momentarily disrupted his hot streak. More recently, he was scratched with lower back soreness in September, suggesting the physical toll is real. Those injuries haven't derailed him, but may contribute to moments where timing slips or hard contact isn't as clean. Plate discipline is mixed. He still draws walks admirably and makes contact often, but when facing breaking or off-speed pitches, especially outside the heart of the zone, outcomes are more variable, sometimes weaker contact or foul balls instead of that sharp line drive. His exit velocity is slightly down from past peaks, indicating that some drives aren't being squared up as well. On defense and the base paths, Yelich remains a plus, but isn't making as many splash plays as he once did. There's no solid evidence his first step speed has dropped drastically, but moments of wear, long games, tight schedules, seem to affect his ability to track deep fly balls or take an extra base aggressively. These aren't glaring flaws, but in tight games, they matter. In sum, Yelich isn't fading, he's adapting. But the margin between his best outcomes and his more flawed ones has narrowed. His productivity remains valuable, but questions about contact quality, ground ball rates, and physical strain are exactly the kind. Manny Machado. Manny Machado remains one of the best all-around players in 2025, power, contact, defense, but even for him, the margins tighten. His StatCast line shows a barrel percent of 12.2%, hard hit percent around 52.2%, and average exit velocity among the higher tiers of the league, confirming his to generate loud contact. Early in the season, questions about his health, especially his elbow surgery in late 2023, hovered. But Machado has publicly said he feels healthy entering 2025. Still, minor soreness, a reported left wrist issue, and historical arm concerns are reminders that stays on health are fragile. At the plate, Machado's power remains dangerous, but consistency fluctuates. He still drives fastballs hard and barrels up plenty of offerings, but his effectiveness dips slightly with pitches outside the ideal contact zones. Breaking or off-speed stuff, when not early in the count, sometimes result in weaker contact or foul outcomes. His plate discipline remains good relative to many power hitters, but in tight counts or when facing pitchers mixing speeds well, the cost of an expansion, swing outside the zone, increases. No definitive public split shows a dramatic surge in chasing off-speed pitches, but heat maps and swing percent data suggest more swings off the zone edges than in spotless years. Defense continues to be a strength at third base. Machado's reaction plays, arm strength, and fundamentals remain high. That said, plays requiring maximal agility or quick lateral movements might show very slight drops compared to his peaks, though this is subtle and not yet clearly identified in advanced metrics. Similarly, base running and extra base aggressiveness stay part of his game, but recovery and fatigue in late innings or over long stretches could make those riskier. Juan Soto. Juan Soto's 2025 season has been extraordinary in many ways. He's joined the 30-30 club for the first time in his career, launching 38 home runs and stealing 30 bases, a milestone few achieve. His slash line, .262/.398/.923 OPS, puts him among the elite in the league. Still, even stars have soft spots. Soto suffered a left foot contusion in late July after fouling a pitch-up off it, was removed from the lineup for at least one game, and has been dealing with soreness. It's plausible that this has affected his ability to push out of the box aggressively or beat out grounders as well as he might otherwise. However, there's no public split confirming a measurable drop in his sprint speed or steal percentage because of it. Defensively, Soto continues to perform at a high level in the outfield. His arm strength, positioning, and instincts remain strengths. Some observers note that reacting immediately to deep fly balls or adjusting first steps looks more taxing at times, though advanced metrics haven't shown a sharp decline in range or reaction in 2025. His hard hit and barrel metrics are excellent. Barrel percent approximately 18.1, hard hit percent approximately 56.1, confirming that he still makes strong contact regularly. At the plate, Soto's patience and strike zone control continue to be major assets. His walk rate and OBP are among the leaders. Still, in behind count or tight count situations, there are more borderline swings and fouls which sometimes lead to weak contact rather than dominant power. There's no firm evidence yet that his RISP or clutch numbers have dropped dramatically. His overall numbers suggest consistency under pressure, though small moments may tilt against him more often than before. In sum, Juan Soto remains among the game's best. His weaknesses are not glaring but consist of marginal edges, physical soreness, occasional timing or balance disruptions, and fewer dominant extra base hits in non-ideal counts. These are important only because they reduce error tolerance and magnify losses in tight games. Still, when he's on, he clears the bar most passively expect. Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman continues to hit well in 2025, but wear and recent injuries are putting some strain on what's been a reliable game. He exited a July game with a left wrist contusion after being hit by a pitch. X-rays came back negative, and he returned to the lineup shortly thereafter. He also experienced swelling in a surgically repaired right ankle after slipping in the shower in spring, which led to a brief IL stint. Offensively, Freeman is keeping impressive power and launch angle metrics. His batting average remains strong, approximately .292 at last check, and he's producing well in many matchups. However, there are signs that certain pitch locations, especially inside and elevated fastballs, are becoming tougher to drive with consistency. While there is no strong published split showing a breakdown, timely reports and his own post-game comments suggest swings become more tentative when pitches crowd the inside or when recovering from discomfort. Defensively, Freeman remains solid at first base. There's no clear metric confirming a severe drop in range or reaction time, but his ankle issues and wrist contusion likely make challenging plays, especially off-speed grounders or throws requiring stretch or lateral reach, more difficult. He's shown resilience, but like many aging stars, more dependent on experience and placement rather than pure athleticism in tight defensive moments. In tight games or high leverage, small physical limits show up more. Discomfort when fouled, restrictions on inside pitch swings, and recovery from minor injuries increase the cost of mistakes. Freeman is still a standout, but 2025 suggests that what separates still great from peak great requires minimizing exposure in vulnerable zones and managing health wisely. Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker continues to be among the better offensive threats in 2025, with solid power, on-base skills, and contact metrics. Baseball Savant shows his barrel percent and hard hit percent are well above typical MLB averages, and his xWOBA is strong. Defensively, though, his metrics are troubling. According to StatCast, Tucker's outs above average, OAA, in right field is negative, and his defensive runs saved, DRS, are also in the red for 2025. He is among the lower performing right fielders for those metrics. Observers note that his route efficiency is inconsistent, particularly on deeper fly balls or those near the wall. Sometimes he appears to take less optimal angles or delay slightly in turns, especially in edge cases. Offensively, Tucker remains reliable. His exit velocities, power to all fields, and ability to drive fastballs remain assets. But his defensive liabilities create a net cost. Runs allowed versus his teammates and situational exposure, big outfield plays, late inning fly balls that can decide tight games. Teams may test him with gap power or wall balls to see whether his speed and recovery hold up. As he ages or deals with minor fatigue, which is expected given heavy playing time, those defensive deficiencies may widen. If he can refine reads, shorten routes, or avoid layers of wear, especially in large outfields, he'll keep being a top bat. If not, the glove side may increasingly drag his overall value, even if his bat stays strong. Marcus Semien. Marcus Semien remains a veteran presence for Texas, but 2025 has exposed some cracks that were earlier obscured. He's been placed on the injured list with a left foot contusion. After fouling a pitch off his foot on August 21st, he's hoped to return before season end. Offensively, his power is modest. His barrel percent sits at 6.7%, exit velocity around 88.3 miles per hour, and hard hit percent about 35%. These are slightly below his best but still serviceable. However, batting average is .230 with 15 home runs in 127 games at the time of injury, indicating streaky production. His swing metrics suggest he has one of the slower average swing speeds among regular hitters. In fact, his fast swing rate is well below league average, making power swings more limited. Defensively, while Semien has long been known for reliability, the foot injury threatens both his range and his ability to move explosively. Covering ground or reacting quickly might be harder until he's fully healthy. There's no strong data yet that range has drastically fallen off, but mobility concerns are real. In tight game situations, his lower production combined with physical limitation could cost more than usual. As it stands, Semien remains useful. His experience and bat in certain counts matter. But health and bat consistency will likely define how much more value he can deliver in high-leverage moments. Carlos Correa. Carlos Correa continues to bring big-game hitting in 2025, but even he has weakness edges that opponents are wisely targeting. His power and contact metrics remain solid. He's hitting with an average exit velocity of about 90.6 miles per hour, hard hit percent around 46.3%, and barrel percent roughly 7.2%. These keep him above league norms in many categories. What's shifted is decision discipline. His chase rate is up significantly, around 31.6% in 2025 versus 25.5% in 2024, meaning he's swinging at more pitches outside the zone. His contact percent and strike whiff outcomes show more variability, particularly in counts where he's not ahead. His batting average .275 and overall slash line remains strong, but power output isn't quite as dominant as in his peak seasons. When he's behind in counts or when pitchers mix in breaking off-speed offerings, results tilt toward weaker contact more often than before. Defensively, Correa has moved to third base this season, a shift partly motivated by the desire to reduce wear and add stability. That adjustment is paying off to a point. His arm remains strong, and making routine plays is still a strength. But throws from unfamiliar angles and reaction plays are receiving more attention from analysts. In high-leverage situations or against pitchers who attack the margins, the margin for error is smaller. Correa's strengths carry weight, but his elevated chase rate and occasional misfires in tough counts are exploitable flaws. When the game is tight, those moments tend to accumulate. Willy Adames. Willy Adames enters 2025 with plenty of hope, but several recurring flaws limit his star ceiling. His offense, while streaky, is inconsistent. His batting average has been unreliable, and when slumps hit, they hit hard. Power output helps, but without a reliable hit tool, he struggles to contribute when pitchers sequence well. His defense, historically a strength, has regressed in some advanced metrics. Positioning, first step reads, and route efficiency are not as sharp, especially in fast-breaking plays. Off the plate, Adames sometimes overswings, chasing breaking balls off the plate, especially in two-strike counts. That reduces his ability to stay alive in at-bats and contributes to longer strikeout innings. He has also missed time with minor injuries, which disrupt rhythm. While his energy, hustle, and offensive flashes make headlines, his overall game still depends heavily on making hard contact and avoiding prolonged slumps. In tight playoff contexts, that kind of volatility can be costly. Giancarlo Stanton. Giancarlo Stanton at 35 is doing more than many expected in 2025, but cracks are visible when you dig into the numbers. He missed much of the early season due to elbow issues, epicondylitis in both elbows, spending time on the 60-day injured list. Once fully active, debuting around mid-June, he's posted power numbers. He has 20 home runs, a .941 OPS, and averages near .270 with strong slugging in many stretches. The problem is consistency and physical fragility. His exit velocity remains high, average approximately 94 to 96 miles per hour in many hard-hit metrics. But his periods of explosive power are separated by longer cold streaks than in his peak. As the season wears on, and especially in off days or after IL stints, he seems more prone to strikeouts and weaker contact in non-ideal counts. Opponents are challenging inside and elevating fastballs more often, and when Stanton doesn't get optimum timing, those inside pitches can jam him or lead to weak flyouts or foul outs. There's no confirmed dramatic drop in speed, but elbow discomfort and missed time likely reduce his margin for error. Defensively, Stanton is mostly a DH this season, limiting his value in the field. Even when he does play the outfield, or is evaluated for it, his range and quickness are not what they were in peak years. In tight games, late innings, or against pitchers who adjust, Stanton's dips in consistency and physical wear, especially after swinging aggressively or fouled pitches, are what separate his high-ceiling games from the ones where his value shrink. Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer in 2025 is still a taunted name, still capable of brilliant stretches, but the rust is visible. Thumb inflammation has been a recurring problem. He needed multiple cortisone shots, rehab starts, IL stints, and has described lingering discomfort that affects grip, pitch control, and even how his arm compensates. He also opened his Blue Jays tenure with right lat soreness, suggesting that compensatory issues may be creeping in. His performance when healthy shows flashes. He can still strike batters out, locate, and mix his pitches. But several metrics show movement on pitches, especially his changeup and curveball, are down from prior tops, meaning less deception. That increases hitter contact quality when he misses tight spots. When fly ball rate is elevated, home runs follow. Scherzer has given up more long balls this season per start than many would expect from vintage Mad Max. Also, his ability to limit damage deep into starts is under more pressure now. When he gets out of rhythm, thumb sore, grip off, walk rates creep up slightly, and his ability to force chases outside the zone drops. Also, pitch count and stamina are more fragile, harder in later innings, elevated counts, runners on base. His stuff when dialed in still commands attention, but consistency across starts is shorter. For a pitcher with so much pedigree, these are subtle but cumulative risks, especially in postseason or tight division races where every mistake is magnified. Logan Gilbert. Logan Gilbert has made strides in 2025, emerging as one of Seattle's more dependable starters. However, early in the season he encountered a right elbow flexor strain, grade 1, diagnosed around April 26, which led to a shutdown from throwing for 2 weeks. After rehab, he returned to the rotation and resumed his prior level of performance. In terms of performance, Gilbert has largely regained velocity and control, though there are moments where command over secondary pitches is less sharp than in his healthiest starts. While there is no public evidence showing major mechanical breakdowns or a steep third time through order collapse, his early exit and skipped usage of some breaking offerings during the injury suggests some caution might be necessary. His stamina appears intact in many starts, but the injury history increases the risk that fatigue or elbow discomfort could surface late in games, particularly during tight matchups or bumpy road environments. For Gilbert to continue rising toward ace status, maintaining health, balancing pitch counts, and avoiding overexposure will be critical. Javier Baez. Javier Baez is having a solid 2025 with the Detroit Tigers, batting average around .256/.257, 11 home runs, modest stolen bases, and OPS in the mid.680s. He's shown flashes of his powerful swing and ability to take advantage of favorable counts. That said, consistency remains an issue. His OPS and slash stats indicate capable production, but large stretches of weaker results show up in splits and recent game logs. When pitchers mix off speed and breaking pitches earlier in counts, he sometimes swings more aggressively and does not always adjust well, producing weak contact. There is no clear public metric proving early count weakness versus off-speed is dramatically worse than his norm, but observations suggest timing issues in those moments. Defensively, Baez remains versatile and energetic, though age and prior injuries may limit some high-burst explosiveness. He's not regularly playing physically demanding positions as much, which suggests management of his physical output is more cautious. In tight or late game situations, errors or missed connections, timing, contact quality, tend to cost him more often than they once might have. He can still deliver dynamic moments, but his ceiling in those moments depends on limiting mistakes and staying healthy. Ketel Marte. Ketel Marte's 2025 season is among his best in recent years. He's hitting .281 to .288 with 25 home runs, solid RBI and run counts, and an OPS near .890. His StatCast metrics back up the excellence. Exit velocity approximately 91 miles per hour. hard hit percent 47.2%, barrel percent 13.9%, and both WOBA and xWOBA among league leaders. Weaknesses are more subtle. Marte doesn't strike out much and his swing choices are disciplined, but certain pitch sequences, typically ones high in the zone or inside, sometimes evade his optimal zones, resulting in soft contact or flares instead of line drives. There is no confirmed report that he struggles dramatically versus elevated fastballs or inside speeders beyond typical hitter variants. Defensively, his mobility and glove work remain solid. He hasn't missed significant time for injury, and there's no public data showing a drop in sprint speed or range. In marquee moments, close games, tied at bats, late innings, the margin for error is slimmer now. For Marte, the difference will be maintaining proficiency in those non-ideal pitch situations and keeping physical condition intact throughout the long haul. In 2025, even the brightest stars across Major League Baseball carry flaws that can't be ignored. From aging bodies to pitch-specific vulnerabilities, every superstar has a crack in their armor. Whether it's Aaron Judge's susceptibility to high-spin breaking balls or Shohei Ohtani's delicate balance between greatness and injury recovery. Understanding these weaknesses adds depth to their stories and context to their production. As postseason races intensify, these small but significant flaws could define outcomes in tight games. Baseball's beauty lies in its imperfections, and the game's biggest names remain human, flawed, fascinating, and under constant evolution in the spotlight.